Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to Wealth Edit Wednesday. This is our weekly gathering as a community where we highlight a really interesting woman that we've met along the way. I had met Mollie originally through a friend of ours, a mutual friend who's also been on the Wealth Edit. Her name's Ginger Mayfield, and she connected us several years ago, and then we re-met through the Pivot Fund. Mollie was one of the women who participated in the grant and contributed to making it all possible. So we're so grateful for her. But beyond those connections, Mollie has a really interesting art collective called Well and Wonder. I don't know if I'm going to let you describe it versus me because I'm worried I'll get the words wrong, but we're huge fans. I've purchased several things through Well and Wonder over the years and watched these artists take off. And Mollie just has a unique gifting in finding this emerging talent and beyond emerging talent. So Mollie, just tell us your story.
Yes, thank you. Well and Wonder is an online artist collective, and I represent all Southern, all female emerging artists. And I've been in the business side of art sales for 8, 9, 10 years almost. I've sold portrait art a long time. And I was helping clients and friends place and find original art. And I set out to create a space where these clients and friends could discover new artists, learn more about them, learn their story, purchase their art, and all in a very inviting, welcoming, not intimidating environment. A lot of my clients would say that they were very intimidated to walk into art galleries because they may not know a lot about how to collect original art, may not know what it costs, what certain things mean. So I kind of wanted to, I felt like about 5 years ago I launched it, and there was not a space where that wasn't kind of a big online box store where people could really shop and discover new art. So that's a little bit more about it. And I started 5 years ago with 6 artists, and we now have about 38. So we've grown, and it's been really fun to see. But we still, we still are very true to helping people get started on collecting art.
Yeah.
So tell us, who is your target market?
Really, 25 to 45-year-old women. We sell mostly in the Southeast, but a lot of women who are purchasing art for the first time, and then kind of those who, we kind of have 2 tiers of customers. I always say those who are literally purchasing art for the first time, and then those that are just kind of have the art bug and are maybe purchased a new house or just really interested in it. I always say I kind of was more interested in collecting shoes in my 20s, and then kind of when I hit 30, it was like, no, I want to invest in my home and start, investing in my home and collecting original art.
Well, one of the things you were telling us in our pre-call was how you really do help clients pick pieces for their home. I mean, even so much like to go so far as like Photoshop it in. And I love your website and look at it really quite regularly, but I didn't realize that you did that.
Yes. It's all, it all has happened very organically, and we'll have customers say, well, I didn't know you could do that. But I FaceTimed with clients all over the country. We've helped them measure and mark up walls. We've photoshopped paintings in, and it's always fun too, because I can, I'm happy to offer advice. And then we were photoshopping for a client this week, and we got the artist involved too, so she could weigh in on kind of color and things she could alter to the painting. And so it's fun, and that just makes it it takes, it helps, you know, I know a lot of people say, which I say it as well, but I can spot, I feel like I'm pretty good at spotting pretty things and knowing what I like, but I still want a little bit of help of like, but can that work in my house? And, you know, is that actual painting going to look okay in my living room? And so that's what, you know, so many of our clients, um, you know, need help with. So we're happy to do that.
How do you network and meet these artists, particularly? I mean, you've been online for a long time. We're fairly new at it, but you have, of course, the client relationships, which we want to ask you about in a minute. But then, how do you kind of curate your artists and make these meaningful connections?
Yes, of course. I know I keep saying this, but it, for me, probably because I launched Well and Wonder when I had two babies, it was just really important for me to start small and grow slowly. Because, and that's why I started with 6 artists, and you know, 3 of those 6 I had been working with for months, kind of before Well and Wonder. And I, you know, valued and loved that they would call me and we'd discuss pricing, or that I could have these conversations. And I think that's what they wanted as well. And they saw the value in Well and Wonder of having me. And now I have employees and other artists to bounce these ideas off of, because just like, well, all of us now, but back then, you know, artists, it's a very solo type thing, and so they're in their studio working, and they you know, they often value that, you know, business perspective, outside perspective, that kind of thing. So I really, I've always said I like, you know, add an artist. I've never added more than one at a time, because it's like, let me add and let me make sure that I can you know, keep this Well and Wonder community going with 10 artists. And then, you know, a year later it was 20. And I've really said 40 is my cap. We're about there. And I'm able to maintain this with the help of a few employees, and but know that probably that's my limitation. So unfortunately, there are hundreds, thousands of talented female artists in the Southeast, and I can't have them all, but so there's no shortage of talent, but I kind of know my limitations. And also in the past 5 years, it's been, you know, anecdotally, but also, you know, with the help of Shopify analytics and Google Analytics, I really know what my customers buy and what they want. So I can, now I feel like a few years into this, I can spot talent, um, but say, you know, this artist is incredibly talented and I value the work she's doing, but it may not be a right fit for what my customers are looking for. So.
Mhm. Well, I feel like Lauren and I just since March, starting the Wealth Edit, you know, we've talked to a lot of artists, and they, like you said, talk about what a lonely, it's a lonely job, because you're the one that's back there creating and nobody else can really help you with it. And then also that, you know, it's difficult to run the business side of it, and like all the thoughts of like, how do I price this? What's the best way to market?
Right.
I love that you just have naturally incorporated that into Well and Wonder and what you're doing, and just realize, I mean, I see it now, like what a wonderful service that is. So, I mean, I think the most fun thing about getting to know you is just seeing like how much more there is to Well and Wonder is not just a website with paintings, you know, it's just a
Right.
real collective, and I
Right.
am excited that our listeners get to hear about that. Okay, so we're talking about that, and like how creatives oftentimes like running the business side of things is hard. So where did you like share with us a little bit how, I know you shared with us a conversation with your dad about like you've got to know the numbers. Like, what has your history been with like learning the business side of being a creative?
Um, yes, I shared with you all that I am through and through creative. So there are parts of the business that I don't particularly care for, and one of those is the numbers. but my dad did tell me early on. I mean, I kept my books for the first 6 months before I hired a bookkeeper, and still work really closely with her. Hired a good accountant, but just forced me to really spend time there and learn it, because you're probably not going to see real growth until you can understand all of that, or at least he threatened me with that, which I think was really good advice. um, I had a call right after. There's a small college here in Louisville that has a new dean of their business school, and she's starting this wonderful program for female entrepreneurs of color, and kind of a mentorship program. And I was talking to her about our call, and realized just how lucky I am that I did have the opportunity to hire a wonderful bookkeeper and accountant and all that, but and that not everybody has access to all that. But I just learning all sides of the business. Um, Another thing is managing and working with people, and luckily I've had lots of wonderful women to work with, but just people learning to manage. I had never managed employees before, and this community of artists. So those are sides where sometimes you got to get down in the weeds. But
Well, one thing is that people may not know, also, like, you work with the clients, but then also you work closely with your artists, and have built a community where artists can connect and ask advice, right?
yes. I mean, that obviously has grown a lot in COVID times, but we did a lot of in-person pop-ups pre-COVID, and so it was always a wonderful experience. I mean, we were in Birmingham a year ago, last December, and gosh, it was so cool. Like, out of our 30 some artists, 20 came. I mean, and from New York and DC and all over, and just they tell me that they're on some I'm included on, some I'm not, but group texts and emails, and bouncing ideas off of one another. And I've been told numerous times, just like y'all mentioned, that it can be a lonely existence trying to make a living as an artist. And so just having that, I've been told many times, they're so grateful for. Yeah, that's been really cool. And every time I add a new artist, everybody's cheering them on and welcoming them, and it's really neat to see.
Do you feel like Well and Wonder is a place for artists for a season, or do you think that some of them will be lifers? How do you sort of think about that?
It's both. It's both. I mean, I work, when I launched with the 6, 2 or 3 of them are still with me, and 3 have graduated. Or I say graduated, like Dorothy Shane was one of my original artists, and I was talking to Dorothy this week. She's getting married next week. We have a wonderful relationship. But I always say to my artists, when they talk to me about other gallery representations or business opportunities that come their way, I say there's a lot of different ways to make a career as an artist, and what Dorothy Shane's doing may not be what you want to do, or some of my artists have another full-time job, or have Emily Osher has 6 children, and there's just lots of different places and phases of life. So I'm here to help you kind of make what you want of it. Yes, certainly there's been circumstances where artists graduate, and then some that are happy to stick with me.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
we're launching in New Orleans next week, and had the opportunity to have a pre-call with an artist there. And it was interesting hearing her story, because she said, like, oftentimes as an artist, there may be this feeling like this is if you're a true artist, this is what you should be doing. And she instead sort of like chose to go a different route and really wanted to do stationery and drawings for that, and has been very successful. But it's interesting hearing you say that as well, that just to like give the artist the freedom to pick like
Right. Yes.
what works for you, how do
Sure.
you want this to fit into your life, and where are you feeling like led.
Exactly. Certainly. And, um, and yes, what do you want this to look like? What do you literally want to, what kind of salary do you want to make? How many hours a week can you spend on this? Um, are you going to really up your social media game? Are you going to, um, and then some artists, I'm their primary, I'm the place where they sell their artwork primarily. And I recognized, I always have to stop and remember how terrifying it must be for these artists to, it's such a vulnerable thing to work on this art and then show it to thousands of people. And I have an artist in Florence, South Carolina, who um, does some really great collages that are really popular. They always sell out. It's kind of like she can consistently sell those and make good money that way. But she has been exploring this abstract, really loose, really free, colorful abstracts, really different than anything I had seen. And her father has been has Parkinson's, and so she talks about the whole series was called Memories, and just kind of this exploration of what happens to our memories, and as we obviously age and go on and time, and then then she said just then in COVID she really started playing with these, and so it was really cool. I was really, it's when I have those conversations, it reminds me how, I'm putting them on Well and Wonder, but I'm also, telling this story. That's, just so important. It's such a vulnerable thing, for them to put out there. So I always have to remind myself of that too.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about the Well Collected Guide, your new venture with Well
Yeah.
and
We launched the Well Collected Guide right in the beginning of quarantine in the spring. And it's basically a resource guide for art-minded businesses. So what was happening was, clients in some of our, biggest cities, Atlanta, Nashville, were saying, okay, love this. Do you have any framing recommendations for me? Do you literally do you work with any framers here? Where do I hang this? Do you know of anybody that can help me place this? So, and we were working with interior designers and frame shops just organically. And we thought, let's come up with an actual online guide that can kind of showcase our favorite art-minded businesses in these southern cities. And so it's been good, and we're hoping to expand. We're looking at Houston next, and Raleigh, North Carolina, and hoping to have, and then every time somebody purchases a piece of artwork in one of those cities, we'll make sure that they get the Well Collected Guide and get connected with those people there.
That's awesome. Okay, and you are also currently a Tory Burch Fellow, is that right?
Yes, currently, yes.
That's so great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We've heard such awesome things from some of our other members who have also participated. Can you just tell us about that experience?
Of course. It's been beyond my expectations and awesome. I applied a year ago, which I can't believe it's been a year. And then was supposed to be notified in April. And if had been chosen, I was supposed to go to New York in May to kind of kick off the program. And obviously the Tory Burch Foundation had to pivot as well, along with everyone else. And while they were figuring out what their program was going to look like, we were on hold for a little bit. but did not know that we were chosen until a call in the summer in June, when they pulled a fast one on us and said that it was a final interview, but it in fact wasn't. And Tori was there and announced that we had all been chosen. And so it was a fun, exciting celebration. And 50 women, all female entrepreneurs from all different businesses. And so it's this wonderful cohort that you learn from each other, as well as so much education. The first kind of quarter was a financial boot camp. So that was awesome. But I can breathe again. I got that. I passed that with flying colors. We're kind of knee deep in marketing, and it's just it's just been great. A lot of good meat there, but also just wonderful women. And hopefully, maybe in a year we'll all get to go and meet in person. So we'll see.
Do you have like classes and then projects that you're working on with your business?
Yes. So we're kind of in these, like I said, we kind of kicked off with a financial boot camp. And so they would have different speakers, usually about twice a month. And then what's so incredible is beyond that, because I'm a little bit of an outlier. Like there's nobody else that it sells original art like I do. There's fashion and food and kind of a few different categories. And so I'm probably kind of fit more into a service type business. But what's so great is that they pair you up with these people and they do one-on-one office hours. So I had, a CFO in New York that, one-on-one, we kind of went through my bookkeeping and making sure I was reporting things correctly and all that kind of stuff. So, it's really great. Like I'll be on a 2-hour webinar this afternoon working on customer motivation and marketing. And, but then I'll sign up for office hours with the woman that's leading that. And so she can really get, okay, this is what you need to be doing for Well and Wonder. And then of course, if I'm too intimidated to ask questions in front of everybody, I can ask them at that time. And so it's been invaluable. It's been great.
At the Wealth that we love to talk about money, and just what you're sharing with us kind of brings us to that, because just like going through that financial boot camp, I'm curious if just being exposed to all the terminology, all the language, especially in a setting like that where all these women are coming together, everyone's being vulnerable, they
Right.
want to learn, like how much you pick up and now how much more comfortable you are kind of taking those next steps in your business.
Yes. For sure. I mean, there have been times where I've been very intimidated. We had a call a few weeks ago where we had to bring our Shopify analytics and our Google analytics, and we switched websites to Shopify about 12 to 18 months ago. And my new web developer hadn't properly linked to my Google Analytics. And of course it was something I never caught. And so it only kind of goes back a certain amount of time. There's kind of a little bit of a lapse, and so embarrassed about that. And I was, I don't remember how it got, I must have asked a question in the webinar that led people. Anyways, this one woman in my cohort messaged me and was like, did you not properly link your Google Analytics to your new website? I said, no. She's like, me too. And then she called me, a few days later, and we like talked it through, and she said she found the analytics, and just, so it's been really wonderful, as cheesy as it sounds, like, there are people that it's not intimidating. I shouldn't be as intimidated as I am. There are people that really want to help, which is cool. And people that, it's been wild too with COVID, just, one of the women wrote us last week, closed her business, and is filed for bankruptcy, and it which is heartbreaking, and a lot of businesses that are completely trying to do something else, some that are doing really, really well. So it's just I think there's people that are all kind of over the place and helping each other for sure, which is really cool.
Yeah, that is cool. Well, we always like to ask this at the end. I can't believe we're already done, but why did you say yes to the Wealth Edit? We like to ask women why there's so many opportunities I know you're approached all the time, so thank you for saying yes, but we also wonder why.
Well, I've always been attracted to what you all are doing because it reminds me so much of what I'm doing, which is just community, female community, but also just presenting things and saying, let's talk about this honestly. And it's a space where you can feel safe and not intimidating or anything like that. So that's why I've always said yes to the Wealth Edit.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Mollie. We're so glad that you came on today for a few minutes to visit with us.
Thank you all. I wish I could go see you in New Orleans soon.
I know. Soon.
We'll have to come up to Kentucky soon.
Yes.
Anytime.
All right. Thanks, Mollie.
Take care.
Bye.